slow motion sloth that lives here in the Discovery Rainforest at the Cincinnati Zoo. Thanks for joining us at our home safari. Now, Lightning is doing her typical training session that I do with her a couple times a week with sloths because they're so slow moving. Their whole entire routine is very slow too. So doing a training routine with her a couple times a week is almost like doing a daily training session with your dog. She just doesn't like to work at as often as other animals. So we're working on getting her to climb down the ladder off of her tree that's on exhibit for you guys to see the sloths normally, and get her to come down to a bucket that's below at the bottom of the ladder. And once she gets to the bucket, believe it or not, that's actually the comfort spot for a lot of sloths. We do practice ultrasounds. We are hoping to successfully breed Mo and Lightning, and we are checking for babies because we do see the activity for them to possibly have a baby. We do not have any confirmed sightings of pregnancy, but it's also good to just get a baseline so we know what it looks like when she's not pregnant, because a lot of people do not know much about sloth ultrasounds. Fortunately, we have our scientists here at the zoo for our Center of Research of Endangered Wildlife, and they're really good at taking ultrasounds of different wildlife for us. So they come up and we schedule this type of a training session, and about 25% of the time we get her down into the bucket. A lot of times though, she loves to just play on this ladder. It's like a big fun jungle gym for her, and it's novel because it's not always there. You don't want her climbing down and touching you guys when you visit. Because she's a wild animal, she can be dangerous. She is very calm around her keepers because we do spend a lot of time with her, and you see we're feeding her a lot of her favorite food items. Right now she's feeding blackberries, strawberries, and plum, which are her favorites. She has a sweet tooth for sure. Whereas with Mo, he does like fruits, but he prefers more egg and corn on the cob, some savory things. Do you want the blackberry? And you can see she's kind of guiding with her nose. They have a really good sense of smell, and that nose is really wet. That helps her to pick up all the scent particles in the air, and helps her to smell better. So you know, a lot of animals that have good sniffers, they are good smellers, just like your dog will have a really wet nose when he's investigating or she is investigating. Let's see if we can get her down into that. And Lightning, I will say, out of the few sloths that I have worked with, she's a very large individual. She's exceptionally a large lady. She's about 26 pounds, which is about 10 pounds heavier than Mo. So she's pretty big. If you ever come to visit them, you can always tell that Mo is the smaller and blonder one. Let's get this ladder pulled away. Perfect. Good girl. Do you want some egg? She's very picky. Just like maybe some of you guys at home, you never know what day she's going to want which ingredient. Today she's just into the fruit. So when we have her behind the scenes in her other house, she actually prefers to sleep in this exact can. We put a little branch across the way for her to hang on to, and then some comfy, cushy cardboard chips in the bottom. Let's move her out a little bit, just in case she tries to climb back up that tree. It also puts her in the sunlight a little bit so you can maybe see her. She has a large contrast with her fur. So she has a really dark back of the neck, dark limbs, and she's blonde, whereas with Mo, he's blonde all over. And again, he's smaller too. So I did say earlier she's a two-toed sloth. You can easily see here, she has 3 toes in the back and 2 toes in the front. All sloths have the 3 toes in the back, and what defines a 3-toed versus a 2-toed is what's on the front claws.
Ready for some questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
Jeremiah wants to know, what is their gestation?
I believe it's about 90 days, might be 60. 60 to 90. It's a few months.
And Tracy wants to know, how many babies can they have at a time?
They usually have just one, just like people, but there's always that exception for a couple at a time.
Josiah wants to know if they're endangered.
They are not. They are doing just fine in the rainforest. They're actually from Central and South America. Are you begging? She smells the fruit in my pouch. And you can see her pupils are really little. These guys are actually nocturnal. So they don't have the best eyesight. There we go. And you can see those really sharp teeth. Those are actually not canines. So they don't have any teeth in the front. And those teeth are just really sharp because they rub against each other, and they use that for their protection in addition to those long claws. And they also have molars in the back to help grind a lot of the leaves that they eat. They've been known to eat some carrion. She says,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Lily wants to know, what is her very favorite food?
Ooh, I would say they're berries. Sometimes she's into blueberries. Today she's doing the strawberries and blackberries. Looks like she's done with all of them right now though.
Steve asked, is her fur soft or is it kind of coarse?
It's coarse, but it's very slick. And that outer fur is very slick, and it also runs where the hair grows from the belly and just travels backward. They hang upside down their whole life, and so it's slick and is in that direction so that the rainwater just falls right off of them when they're hanging in the tree.
Kim wants to know, how long are their claws? Can you show me?
It's about 4 inches. I'll give you my hand here for comparison. Maybe about the same length as my fingers are. She says no, you can't look.
And Trevor wants to know, do we ever have to trim their claws?
We do, yep. In the wild, I think they would probably climb on some more novel bark, different bark variety, and it naturally wears them down. But just like you have to give your dogs nail trims at home, or yourself some nail trims, we do the same with our sloths. But her nails are actually that long, even like at the trimmed length. So those are not overgrown nails.
Keisha wants to know, how do sloths protect themselves?
Ooh, very good. You can probably guess by looking at those long claws we just talked about. And then again, the sharp teeth in the front. They can actually move quickly if they want to. And another way they protect themselves is by having an algae grow on their fur, and it helps them to camouflage. It turns their fur greenish, and then they camouflage up in the trees so that predators cannot see them.
Matilda wants to know, what are their predators?
That's a very good question. So being in the rainforests of Central and South America, there's animals like ocelots and jaguars and even harpy eagles that will take them out of the trees. So anything large that eats meat and goes up in the trees will take a sloth, unfortunately.
Wyatt wants to know, do sloths sleep upside down?
They do. They actually spend most of their life upside down. The only time they're really not upside down, I would say, would be when they come down the tree to go number 2. So they obviously don't have a potty up in the tree. So they go down to the ground. It's about once a week that happens. And they only need to go about once a week because their entire digestive system is very slow. Just like we know about sloths, they are slow, but in a lot more ways than you would think. They actually have a really low body temperature as well. Their body temperatures can be maintained even as low as 74 degrees, which is lower than most any other mammal. So their body kind of works more like a reptile, so they can hold colder body temperatures, and they've even been seen to lay out and bask in the sun just like a reptile would sitting out on a rock.
Patrick wants to know, can sloths make any sounds?
Yeah, they make a lot of sounds. They make a lot of hissing, they make bleats, chirps, and barks. And the ladies can even do a scream when they're looking for a male friend. Hi. She's looking for a tree to climb up onto. That's why we have her out in the open, so she can't climb away from us for the moment. So she can stay here and you guys can admire her beauty.
Orlando wants to know, how long can they live?
They can live to be in their 20s, maybe even more. There's not a lot of documentation, but Mo is 20 years old and he's still going strong. So I would say maybe even up into the 30s. But she's a young lady. She's only 8 years old. And she's much more active than Mo too. I would say he sleeps a little bit more than she does.
Abby wants to know, do sloths make good pets?
Ooh, so I would say stick with your cats and dogs. As much as I adore Lightning and I spend a lot of time with her, in fact, my entire lifelong dream was to work with animals like Lightning, I still would not take them home and put them in my house, mostly because I care more about her. And I say that because her needs are not going to be met in a household. And she would be so much work. I think it would even take away from some of the enjoyment that you would have in a pet. So stick to your dogs and cats. Those are good pets. Come visit Lightning at the zoo.
And our last question is from Laura. She would like you to talk about how does one become a zookeeper?
Oh, great. Well, I went to school and I got my degree in zoology, which is the study of animals. And then I started working here at the zoo as an intern and eventually got my job here. It is a very competitive field, so you have to stay very motivated and have a lot of drive. And just be open to other careers as well. There's a lot of careers outside of working in a zoo where you can work with animals. And so we're going to see if she can go up the ladder, back home to Mr. Mo. He's been snoozing the whole time. Again, they are nocturnal, although she is very young, so she's always investigating what's going on. If we're very busy, she's usually up and very active. See how flexible she is. Another really cool thing I love to talk about with sloths is that they only have about 25% of their body weight is muscle mass, which is about half of the amount of muscle mass that any other mammal would have. So they're really lightweight and it can help them to be great climbers, and they can even go out onto narrower branches to escape animals their same size that would want to go after them, like a predator. She goes up, up, up. So we do have an activity for you guys at home. We talked about their long claws and their ways to hang upside down in the tree. So in the activity, what I'd like for you to do is to find some scraps of paper that might represent the claws of the sloth and cut out the shape of a sloth. Really, you just need to make like a fuzz ball, if you ask me, with some arms and some claws, and then find something to hang it with, maybe some clothespins, or maybe a bag clip for your chips, and you can hang it somewhere real silly in your house. Surprise one of your siblings or your parents, and hang your sloth upside down, maybe on the tablecloth of your table, and you can make sure that it looks like Lightning and Mo too. And have them hang around your house, because we miss you so much here at the zoo, but we're really excited to have people back tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you again.